What's up, guys? Stan here from Rocky Creek. So we're gonna get some planting done today, and I'm gonna show you how terrible my garden is doing right now. So let's go in here, let's look at where the problems are, and let's talk about what we're gonna do to try to fix some of it. Let's go. You coming to help? Huh? Yeah. You gonna put in work? You gonna get dirty and sweaty? All right, guys, so before we show what we're gonna end up working on, let's show what we're gonna end up planting today. All right, let's get you in the shade where you can see it. So these are the 4 seeds that we're gonna actually put in the ground today. So what ended up happening, you're gonna see it here in a minute, is obviously if you've been following us, our garden space got flooded out. When they figured it out, we had almost 11 inches of rain over 3 days. They actually said on the news that it was a new record that was broken. The old record was from 1940. So this was not at all normal weather for us. But now that the roots have gotten saturated over the days, I got to see the true damage. And to be real honest with you, pretty much everything's gonna die with the exception of my lettuce. So we're almost starting from ground zero. What are you doing?
I'm climbing on the ladder.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna pull up where these dead items are and just replug them in right there where they're at. So we're gonna pull up the old beans and we're just gonna direct sow these seeds in. Same thing with both melons. We're gonna pull the dead ones up and we're gonna direct sow those as well. Now these weren't planted before, but we're gonna go ahead and stick them in a couple places. That's glass gem corn. If you don't know much about glass gem corn, technically you could eat it, but it's not going to be that great. It's more of a decorative type of a corn, and so we're going to grow that and see how that plays out.
I like this one best because I never tasted this before.
Well, it looks kind of like cantaloupe or a honeydew, which you love cantaloupe and honeydew.
Yeah.
So that's the whole reason why we bought that one. So hopefully you'll like that melon. And then of course I love a good watermelon, so I got that strawberry watermelon. Hey, what are you rolling in? Your mama's gonna kill you if you stink. Don't you do that.
Chloe.
So yeah, that's what we're gonna end up sticking in. Let's go in here and let's look at the garden, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in terms of problems, and then we'll start plugging some of these seeds in. We're in the garden. These 2 rows, we had done some radishes and some turnips and some carrots, and as you can see, it became extremely spotty. There's a few radishes and stuff that are kind of popping up, but there's not really a whole lot going on with that. Our lettuce is still doing really well. I don't have any issues with the lettuce. The lettuce has done pretty good. The rain really hasn't bothered it. We've been eating on it a whole lot. So lettuce, we don't have any concerns with. Now right here, oh, it's a dried up worm. Chickens will like that. So right here, guys, I got some turnips growing. I don't see much of a bulb starting. I got some greens going. I think the ground's gonna be so saturated that they're gonna end up probably just rotting inside the ground. I think that's gonna be the same for my onions. Although I'm getting some pretty good tops to my onions, I'm just trying to be honest with myself. Hopefully, I'll be pleasantly surprised and the onions will end up doing something. But I have a feeling that where the ground is so wet that they're probably gonna rot from within the ground. But we're gonna wait and see. We'll let them go there. We're supposed to get a week of dry weather, so hopefully this will help out a lot. Our cabbage, I thought it was holding on pretty good, but now I've noticed here in the last 2 days that my cabbage is starting to wilt back and starting to turn yellow. You can really see it like on this one right here. And I really just think it comes down to just too much water has finally saturated these roots and they're starting to die. The Brussels sprouts is about one of the few plants that seems like it's starting to do pretty good. It's starting to stiffen up pretty good. So these, along with the lettuce, might end up holding up pretty good. You can probably see this one right here has got pretty good sized leaves. Something chewed on it a little bit there. But they're kind of holding on, so a little bit of hope for that. Of course, you might be able to see what little bit, all that okra pretty much had died, which is why we replanted that. So we'll get that replugged here pretty soon. Now, I told y'all before, my beans were about one of the only things that were doing pretty well. After the flooding, they were doing okay. Well, 2 days after the flood water had finally receded, we had another big rain, and the ground was so saturated, it just couldn't hold any more water. And so these ended up having some ponding around the actual green beans. And you can see these things were turning really, really yellow over the last 2 days. And you can see they're completely done. So we're gonna go ahead and pull these out, and we're gonna direct sow some of those seeds into these as well. So yeah, the garden is not going well whatsoever. So the cucumbers are interesting. A lot of them died, but then I do have a few, like this guy, that has some dying down below, but then they're starting to shoot this growth. I'm having the same thing here. Now this one's completely dead, so we're gonna pull it. This one I'm gonna pull, but then you come right here to these three, and I actually think they might, like this one even has a bloom, which is surprising. I do need to get a trellis in here so these things can start running up a trellis. You can see right there, it actually was gonna try, it was trying to make a cucumber right there, which I don't think it's gonna amount to much now. But so I think we're just gonna pull the dead leaves, and maybe these guys will hold on. So I don't think I'm gonna pull them out completely yet. Same thing with these other cucumbers. These three plants, especially this one, seem like they're trying to stay alive. Now, this one was dead, and this one we're gonna go ahead and pull, and we'll replace it as well. Our melons, dead, barely hanging on. We're gonna pull it, dead, dead, dead. You get the picture. So we're gonna actually go ahead and pull these out, and we're gonna direct sow seeds back into these, in these spots right here. Lastly is our tomatoes, and they're Time was gonna tell on them. So you can see our tomatoes right here. Now I will say this, the other day I came out here and I pulled off most of what was yellow like this, and this right here is new growth since that time. There was a whole lot of dead yellow on each of these tomatoes up through here, and I had pulled off the dead, hoping maybe just focus the energy on the new growth and maybe we'll be okay. And honestly, it's actually looking like it may have worked. So like this one, you can see how low, all this was dead, and I pulled those leaves off, and all this right here is new growth. And we're supposed to get about 5 days of dry weather, so we might be able to get this ground to really dry out. So until we get up here towards where it starts to shade more, the tomatoes actually seem like they might hold on, so we'll see. So we're gonna go ahead and get the dead plants pulled up, and we're gonna start plugging in some of the seeds in those spots and trying to get some new growth going in some of these holes that we've already made in the fabric. So let's get started on that right now. So guys, to show you how saturated these plants got, when I'm pulling these melons, I'm barely doing it, and I mean they're just disintegrated here at the stem where it meets the dirt. I mean, that's just how saturated these things got. So there's no way these things were gonna make it. So that's why we're just gonna pull them out, loosen up the dirt a little bit, and replug those seeds for most of these plants that are like this or have completely died all the way. If we're gonna find any positive out of this, the good thing is using the preset holes, the dirt is still really soft and loose and moist. And so it's really like, I got new ones planted in a matter of 30 seconds maybe. So we have 8 total melon spots working our way through there. And so we did 4 of them, strawberry watermelon, which are the upper 4. And then the bottom 4, I can't pronounce it, melon Charentius, I don't know. We got that. My daughter just, like I said, absolutely loves honeydews and cantaloupes, and this kind of reminded us of a combination of the two, so that's why we're giving that one a try. So let's go ahead and pull up these green beans and get them plugged in. And with each of these seeds, just like I do my seed trays, you know, I'm putting 2 in each hole, and then I'll end up, even though the ground is really saturated, I will lightly water them just to get those seeds good and soaked. So let's get these done, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna try a little something. So where that okra had all died, and we got the okra seed starts going, and they're gonna be a little bit before they come, instead of making new holes right now, because I kind of have an idea of what I want to do with what space is left, I'm gonna go ahead and just plug in some of this glass gem corn, and we'll see whether or not it'll take in those holes. The spacing is 12 inches, and that's kind of what I have those holes right now currently from the okra. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug these in, and fingers crossed, maybe something will happen. Holes are already there, might as well try. And I got a pile of these seeds, and we really just got these because my wife thought they looked cool, and we're just gonna wing it and see what happens with them. They're a couple bucks, so it's not like we're losing a whole lot if things don't work out with it. So we'll get these plugged in right now. So we got all those seeds in. Wasn't much, it was just some quick replacements is all it really was gonna be. A lot of that other stuff like the cucumbers and a few other things we're gonna replace once those seed starts get a little bit bigger. And then like I said, I ordered some seeds from Baker Creek I'm waiting on, and some of that stuff's gonna end up taking up the rest of that garden. That's why it still looks a little bit sparse. Now, something a lot of people have asked me ever since we've had all the flooding issues of the garden. Now, we've been on this property for 2 years. Like I said, those who just started following us, I was in a neighborhood before this with raised beds, but this was the first opportunity I had to actually do an actual big in-ground garden. I chose that location because the home behind me is the original owner of a lot of this property. And he had told me that at one point there was a garden there, and he had recommended that that would probably be the best place to be able to till and to put a garden in. Now, like I said, we set a record for rainfall, so this was not normal for us at all. But obviously history can repeat itself. So some people have said, are you gonna do your garden there again, or are you gonna move it? Well, for this summer, we're gonna leave it, and we're gonna try to persevere, and we're gonna try to get through it. However, y'all don't usually see this part of my property, but I'm gonna show you where I might either move the garden or do a second garden just to be on the safe side. So when you come down, that's the front of our home. You come down towards the creek. We have our fruit trees. For those of you that follow us, maybe that looks familiar. Well, when you get down to the fruit trees and we go this way, you can see this path and this field. I had all this bush hog down so I could be able to do some stuff with it. We couldn't quite bush hog this little part. When they built the house, they must have pushed a lot of rock there, so I gotta get a lot of rock out before we can bush hog so we don't mess up equipment. But this is a pretty large area. Now, it is sort of rocky, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of work before I can put a garden in here. But I am thinking about next spring and summer, or maybe even as early as this fall, creating a garden space right here. Now, it does go up on a slant pretty good once you come around this bend, and it is fairly rocky. I think same thing when they did the construction. There's a lot of gravel and rock up there, so I would need to either bring some dirt in or do some clearing out up there if I were to utilize it. I've kind of thought about putting maybe some blueberry bushes. We love blueberries. We go pick blueberries. I thought about maybe putting blueberries on that hillside. If y'all think it would do good, let me know. It's pretty rocky soil though, so I'm not sure if blueberries do good in that or not. If you know about that, let us know in the comments. Now, I mow this with my regular mower all the time, but down here in this flat area, which isn't quite as big as where I have my garden now, but it's pretty close. I'm thinking about we might do that for next year. So to answer your question, will we move the garden? Most likely either we're gonna move it next year, or I'm just gonna do a second one down here, just so if something happens, we'll be fine. I've never seen this area flood at all. And the good thing is I don't know what this stuff is that grows right here, but it cuts down really easy. But right, literally on the other side of that, probably 6 foot, is the creek. Of course, a lot of y'all have seen the creek, so maybe I can utilize that water with a pump or something and be able to water my garden naturally. That'd be pretty cool. So if you have any ideas about that, you know, let me know. I tell you what, guys, it is hot today. I've got an extra set of hose. We're gonna go over to the pigs real quick, and I'm gonna get their pool switched out, get them some nice cold water, try to cool them off for the rest of the day. Mater, brother, got some water flowing in your pool, man. Get it nice and cooled off.
He has long hair.
He does got long hair.
Oh gosh, not the
Hey, don't chew the hose. Hey, don't chew the hose, man.
Don't chew the hose.
Hey, stop. Do you just like the water running? Oh, that went in your nose hole. I think he likes that running water. Stop biting the hose, Mater. So guys, in the last video, I had made a comment about that I think we were fixing to have one of our worst tick seasons that we've had yet because of as many as I've seen so far. So to give you an idea, you know, I had pigs on this property for a year and in the same location, and I never had a single tick ever on a pig. I didn't even know if a tick could bite through a pig's skin. Anyways, when I was just messing with Mater and his water, I just found like a huge tick inside of his ear. So we're gonna get that thing out of there, and then we're gonna cover him down with a little DE. I'm gonna sprinkle some DE in his shelter, because most likely that could have been where it came from, or along the edges in the grass. So we're gonna get that taken care of right now, and then we'll just kind of figure it out from there. I'm thinking the only way I'm gonna be able to keep him still to do this is I'm gonna put some food in his pan. It's probably about an hour or two earlier than I normally do it, but I think that's the only way we're gonna get him to stay perfectly still to where my hands will be free enough to get that out of his ear. Y'all might be able to see that right there, so we're gonna get that puppy out real quick so it's not still on him.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Got the whole thing out at least, but I'm pretty sure there's another one in there attached, a small one.
Yeah, I think those.
Yep, another one right there.
Oh my goodness.
So I don't know if you can see that, but I got the big one out, but then there was another small one right there next to it as well. So it makes me concerned that he might be laying in like a little nest of them. So we're definitely gonna get a bunch of DE spread throughout here. There's one right here.
Oh my gosh, another one? Oh, hold on. Oh my gosh, how many?
I try to check him over as best I can. I ended up locating 4 ticks on him. The one really big one out of his ear, and then 3 others that are small. Now what I'm gonna try to do to try to combat it some is I can't find any more on him, but there could be others. But I'm gonna give him a really good rub down with diatomaceous earth. And then I'm also gonna spread it out throughout his pen as well. So that's one thing I love about Cooney. Cooney's, you could see how calm and tame he was. Really helps out a lot in managing him because of his temperament and how calm it is.
Oh my gosh, Daddy. How much?
So we're just gonna get spread in his house and across his pen, and we'll keep an eye on him moving forward. So all we did right now, we got off the ones we could see, got him covered up in some DE, and hopefully that'll help. You can see he likes to lay up against the end, and my hands are all chalky. He likes to lay right up against this fence line because it stays shaded, so it's cooler. And the grass does get up a little bit higher there. I try to keep it down as best I can. So my guess is that either there's some in his bedding, which is straw, or there was some in those tall grass. I don't see many ticks being here where there's not much on the ground. So I sprinkled it all along through there pretty heavily, and I really put it in pretty heavy inside of his pen. So hopefully, even if he gets it on him on the outskirts, maybe when he lays, he really burrows down in his hay at night. As compared to my old pigs, they just laid on top of it. So hopefully when he gets it all stirred up, that'll help as well. So now that's got me concerned. I need to go down here and check the piglets and make sure they're not having the same problem. So Olivia should be easier since she's all white. They're still a little skittish of us still, so they're not gonna let me rub them down quite like Mater did. So Miss Olivia does have one, and it's behind her ear. Let me see if I can get to where you can see it, and I'm gonna have a heck of a time getting this thing off of her. It's right in the crease. There, you might be able to see it right there. So I'm gonna have to put the camera down. There's no way I can hold the camera and do this. I'm gonna try to get that off because she's gonna be hard to do it on. Success. So guys, I'm really at a loss. I've never had this problem, and so definitely if you have any suggestions, I'd really appreciate it. But this is not at all something that I plan to deal with today. Just goes to show you that anytime you have animals or livestock or a homestead of any kind, you know, really even just any pets, you know, stuff's just going to come up and you're going to have to deal with it. We're going to do the best we can to manage it right now until we can maybe get some more information, and then we'll try to keep working towards combating it right now. My guess is that all that rain we had, you know, that record-breaking rain we had, must have something to do with it, because yes, we've had a few ticks here and there since we've been here, but nothing. I've seen more in the last 2 days than I have the entire time that I've lived here. So, you know, we're going to work through it. We're going to deal with it. So just thought we'd share that with you because it popped up, and y'all might have to deal with it too, or maybe you can help me out with some of your knowledge on how to combat it for our pigs. We had our one little issue today, but what we were originally going to tell y'all about is that, you know, it's the weekend, and I promised my daughter, told her where I was going to take her to a state park and go camping. We went camping when she was 4, and that is like her favorite thing she's ever done. And she's begged me to take her camping again, but between weather and work, we just haven't been able to work it out. Well, with all the COVID-19 stuff going on, our state parks literally just opened, and trying to get in with them is very difficult. So if you can't go to the state park, you bring the state park to you. And this is what we get. Welcome to Camp Rocky Creek. So what are we gonna do tonight, Madison?
We're gonna camp out in this big giant tent.
Oh yeah, got that big tent.
Yeah, wait,
Well, we don't need to do the big show off. We'll just peek through the window here. We got her little setup right there.
And then that's yours.
Yeah, I'm down on the ground because I keep it old school.
I like going in that little spot so
little secret?
so I can hide from my dad. Yeah.
So we went around the property. We got us some wood because what are we gonna do with that?
We're gonna make a fire.
No
and
fire.
We're gonna roast marshmallows and have s'mores.
Yeah.
Check it out.
So yeah, guys, that's the plan. We're gonna eat us some dinner here after a little bit. No reason to wash up because we're gonna be outside. And then we're gonna come out here, we're gonna get a fire started, and we're gonna have a good old time tonight. So come on along with us, and let's have a good time. What are you most excited about tonight?
The s'mores.
That new fire ring is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Hey.
It's melting the stick.
It's like way cheaper than a fire pit at any hardware store. I'm pretty impressed with that thing.
They got time to stick, but I don't want it. I just brush it off.
So I take it you don't want to eat it regular. Eat that side. There you go.
I need a napkin. I love the chocolate and the marshmallow and the graham cracker. I love all of it. Hey, it might be wood.
Back up to camp.
Yeah! Wait,
They both got way too much energy for me. This might be a long night because she is all amped up on some sugar right now. What are you drawing?
Our camp house.
That's our picture of our campfire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking good.
No, not yet. I have to draw the trees and the sun, like the sunset.
Hey, it's really good. Good work. All right, guys, we are officially in our tent. Me and my sidekick are right here, ready to get our sleep on. We're gonna rest up. Did you have fun today?
Yes.
Yes, I'm glad we were able to get this in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
because yesterday you had to go back to work.
So guys, y'all don't realize it, but today is actually the second night. So I talked about before that I work in public safety. Well, with everything going on in the country and the protests. So for those that don't know, I work in law enforcement, and we were hanging out last night at the fire, and we were ready to do this thing, and I got a call from the chief of police of my department, and we got called in. Luckily, things stayed peaceful last night for us. We didn't have any issues, but we just had to be prepared. But anyways, luckily tonight, cooler heads have prevailed. I was able to stay home tonight, so we squeeze it in tonight since I promised we'd do it, right?
Yes.
All right. So guys, appreciate y'all hanging out with us. As always, y'all take care of one another. You want to tell everybody good night?
Good night.
We'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all be good.